Hi, everyone. My name is Mila, and I am from North Carolina. I'm currently an African American social worker, and I specifically work in child welfare. And within that, I work in foster care and adoptions. And I am starting this podcast because I have been and still am in a transitional phase in my life, navigating life, love, and healing. And I know that there are so many other people that are also in this space. And I want you guys to know that you aren't alone. So, this podcast was inspired, like I said, currently my journey of truly navigating this in between. So, like I said, I'm a social worker and I have witnessed and have been introduced and also reintroduced to a lot of different aspects of life that I thought I could kind of bury deep down, but I have grown to realize that there are so many people that are impacted by some of the same things I grew up believing were truly specific to my growth, my life, my childhood. And I have noticed that there are so many barriers to mental health resources. And to go a little deeper in that, you know, whenever mental health is brought up, the number one thing people throw out is therapy, therapy, therapy. And I am in no way, shape, or form knocking therapy because I 100% advocate for therapy. Everyone should go to therapy without a doubt. However, I have learned in my journey that therapy was only just the base. There are a lot of other things that helped beyond therapy, and therapy alone hasn't gotten me where I am today. I have incorporated journaling, I have incorporated prayer, I have incorporated community. And the top, honestly, above therapy, podcast, which is why I am starting this podcast. I have grown to love podcast so, so much. And therapy, I will say, was like a self awareness hub. A lot of time in therapy, about 80% of the time is spent talking, and about the other 20% is feedback. Honestly, is how I see therapy. But with podcast, I can listen to other people's stories, insights, phases of life that truly helped me to see I wasn't alone in this. And realizing that you're not alone in this is so helpful, so rewarding. And there are but so many different podcasts out there that highlight the different aspects of life I have struggled with. And I hope that this podcast can incorporate all of them. But if not, there are so many others that I can encourage you guys to listen to. I grew up in a household with married parents. However, a lot of times people always say, oh, your parents are married. You don't have to worry about this, that, or this. Fair. However, I came from a very emotionally unavailable family, and I am in no way knocking my family, love my family down, but there was a lot of lineage trauma that as I grew older realized was buried deep in my family. And about a year ago, give or take, I decided that it had to end with me. And I want this podcast to kind of document my journey of getting through that. I would never have it all together. I would never truly be perfect, but I can be better than I was yesterday. And if tomorrow I don't feel like I was better than I am today, that's okay. Healing isn't linear. Healing has its ups and downs just like life. And I will say college unlocked that. So I am from a very small city and county in North Carolina, and I will say I graduated from high school with maybe 50 people. And going from that to I graduated from the illustrious North Carolina State University, go Pack, was introduced to 50 people being in one class. Honestly, that was base. Most of my classes, 100, 150 plus people were in a class. So it was a huge culture shock, and I wasn't prepared for it. I really wasn't. But that's another story for another episode. But I say that to say during college, I was introduced to a lot of new backgrounds and people that I wasn't used to. And it became a mirror for me. It was like a wake up call in a sense as to, wow, there are people out here that actually have resources, that have ideas, that have knowledge of things I never would have gotten a hold of if I would have stayed in my home county. And I'm not knocking anyone that did because we all get it how we can, we get it how we do, okay? But I will say I am hoping to bring some of that insight, some of that self-awareness to this podcast to help someone who may not have gotten the experience. I witnessed a very tragic loss in college. I lost one of my best friends. I am the youngest of 5 siblings, and when I say youngest, the baby, I mean me and my siblings are 10 plus years apart in age, baby. So when I was in middle school, high school, some of the most tedious phases of life, I didn't have any siblings with me. But I had a cousin, a first cousin who was very dear to my heart and who I now refer to really as my brother because he was my brother. His death made me realize that we truly don't appreciate these little things, the small moments in life. He wasn't someone who was a hugger, someone who would say, I love you, but his death sparked that in me to do that more, to appreciate people a lot more, to give people their flowers while they're here. The little things he did for me showed just how much he loved me. Not everyone will say they love you every chance they get, but the simple things, the little things is truly what makes love to me. And I will say his death and truly reflecting back on his life and our relationship has made me appreciate the little things, the little gestures from people that I cherish now in my life. And it also made me release people that truly weren't giving me what I knew I needed in life or who didn't have my best interest at heart. Because even though no relationship is perfect, and when I say relationships, I don't mean just romantic. I mean friendships, family, coworkers, even your next door neighbor, there will always be some sort of conflict. But being able to move past it and come back as if nothing ever happened is truly what makes love in relationships. I found that we often want closure, finality, but most of life happens in the in between, and it teaches us so much that we fortunately, but unfortunately, pick up the back end of. But I will say that everything comes and happen and is realized right on time. So that was just a little background. It may have been a little vague, but I will definitely dive deeper into a lot of these ideas, thoughts that I'm bouncing off of right now in more detailed episodes when I go deeper into topics. But I just want to give you guys a little what to expect moment. So you can expect conversations around emotional honesty and spiritual insight. So I want to be real. I want to be raw. I want to be authentic. I don't want to come up here using big fancy words, big fancy phrases, none of that. I want this to be as comfortable and as real as it can get. I don't want y'all to come in here thinking, "What's she yapping about now? What that word even mean?" No, no, no. I want this to be human, real. I want you to feel like you're not alone. I want you to feel like you're finally heard or seen if you've never felt that before. And if you have, I want this to be another homegirl added to your corner, another big sis, another little sis added to your corner, truly. And when I say spiritual insight, I don't mean I'm going to be throwing out Bible verses every 10 seconds. I'm not a Bible thumper. That's not what I'm here for. Get to know God for yourself. However, I would be wrong if I did this podcast without acknowledging him in even the slightest sense, because without him I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't even be doing this podcast right now because he is truly the main reason behind it. I could never envision myself doing this, but hey. So expect that. I don't want that to run you away if you're not into that. Stay a little while, sit down. You never know what you could take from it. Also, you can expect authentic stories from guests. I don't want to be the only one yapping. I want to incorporate people that have truly been an inspiration, light to my journey, to everything that's been going on in the community, in my area, in the media at times, but I truly want you to truly see that even beyond me, we are not alone. Also, insight about relationships, healing, identity, and purpose. Again, relationships aren't just romantic, relationships are friendships, family, co-workers, neighbors, the mailman, anybody. You build relationships every single day, and whether you realize it or not, having relationships outside of romantic ones are what taught into healing, identity, and purpose. And they help you maintain your individuality. You should never lose yourself in a romantic relationship. But again, that's a topic for another day. Also, reflections. I want to reflect on the previous episode, each new episode. I want to interact with you guys. I want to give homework. I want to give challenges. There are so many things that I too am still processing, learning how to cope with, cope through. So, the challenges, the homework I give you guys, I'm going to do myself, and we're going to reflect each new episode. I also want to give inspiration, and I hope that the weekly inspiration truly gets you through the week and truly unlocks a new thought pattern in you. So, with that, I want to give my first encouragement of the week, which is you are not alone in your in between. This room was made for you. So, I hope that you'll come back again, 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 and again. And I hope that each episode helps you to gain something that you didn't realize before. It helps you to acknowledge a part of you that you may not have been acknowledging before. Even if you don't share it with me, other viewers, other listeners, other people, if no one ever hears about it or knows about it except you and God, at least being able to truly acknowledge that part of you and heal it is what the goal of healing is in general. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to my first episode, which is short, some slight, just to give a background, just to tell the why, the reasoning, the purpose behind this. And I don't know an upload schedule just yet. It probably won't be consistent at first as I'm still trying to figure my way around this. But eventually I will become consistent in posting. And as anything, nothing is perfect. So don't hold me to that schedule once it does become a little steady. But I do want to become steady. But beyond that, Drop questions, suggestions, thoughts. What you hope to gain from this? Let me know how y'all feeling. Let me know where you're at right now in your in between. You don't have to go into detail. You don't have to spill your life. If you want to, go ahead. I'm all for it. But just to get the conversation going, let me know how you're feeling. If you don't want to comment it, you can interact with me on my socials, my emails. They're all linked below. Also, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And also turn on my post notifications so that you're notified when I actually do decide to drop the first actual episode. But it's coming soon. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. I'm not just gonna drop this and disappear. Nah. But thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great week. See ya.